Girl Psychic. That's why I'm playing it. And the reason I'm playing that because I think we're all psychic is because I'm doing a podcast about being all psychic. And in this case, it's one I promised you in a few episodes back. It's about how to be a successful spiritual coach, psychic medium, tarot reader, Reiki healer, witch, empath. How to be successful at this work and whatever that, well, I'll get to that, what that means to you. So I was going to tell you a story first, so I play guitar. And the song you're hearing right now over this introduction, if I remember to put it in, which I will, because if I see this and it's not in there, I'll put it in right then, and I'll flip this out. But I wrote a song that I have in the background for the beginning of this podcast. So I recorded it too, and I played all the instruments, and I wanted it for this particular podcast. I didn't know what I would do for a song for a long time, and I used that one because it was short, and it was kind of along the subject matter in a way, but it's from a concept album I wrote myself on a 4-track that I later recorded on in Pro Tools, or I think it was Pro Tools and Logic Pro. If you know audio, you know what I'm talking about. And yeah, I still think we're all psychic if I didn't say that already. I wanted to make sure that was said and out there. Yes, at 7:06 Tuesday, January 7th, Central Time, I still think we're all psychic. It's really interesting. We've had a few anyway, I'm getting off topic. I have to go start talking about podcast news, but that's not why I'm here. I'm here to talk to you about how you can be successful in your career. First, I'll tell you, sorry, in this career, kind of career, not podcasting, but in the juju work, spiritual work. I got my piano. I didn't get a piano. My parents' friend gave him a piano when I was in 6th grade, and my dad and I would play. My dad was a musician, plays accordion, and he played flute. He can play piano, play everything. He has a great ear. He can hear anything and play it. And so we got the piano. I always was humming and singing all the time. I love music so much. I would write songs in my room, put little bars, going in jig, 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 jig for what I could hear in my head. And I was always humming and singing. And when I go to bed at night, I had to bang my head. So I'm going into my music career, if you're wondering why I'm talking about all this. Now, so I could never learn to read music on the piano. I could not brain music note and what it means. Like this icon means this note without looking at and counting. And I just couldn't do it. It was just it wasn't taught young enough, I think. It's kind of like another language. And it's like a glyph. So it's something I couldn't really understand how to explain. And I have a feeling this is going to be really noisy with this guitar. So give me a minute to put it down. In college, I got my guitar at 17. I think if you've listened for a long time, you know that story. I won't tell that story of how I got the guitar. It was very special. And I was really grateful to get this guitar. It was my cousin Andrew's guitar. After he passed away, I inherited it at 17. And then 20 days later, I played Closer to Fine with the Indigo Girls at my high school talent show. It wasn't good. I saw a video of it many years later. I was like, oh my gosh, I was so balls to the wall. Because that was scary for me to do, and I just had to do it too. At that time, I really wanted to give Andrew something. And I was the only cousin not to put anything in his casket at his funeral. And I got the guitar, so I wanted to write him a song or play something for him or do something special in honor of him. And so I did that risk. I got on the stage, and then 3 of my friends, Kyla, Ashley, and Carrie, sang. And Kyla played flute. It was great. We had a great time, but it was horrible. I'm so glad I did it, though. And then I went to college, and I met some punk rockers, started playing in punk rock bands. And then I did pretty well, with all-girl band. Always brought an audience, if that's success. The other band, a lot of people appreciated our music, I guess you could say. And that was called Decatur. And we were kind of like a punk band. We were a punk band, but not like a hardcore punk band. We were more like a melodic, kind of singy, fun, catchy one. And Chicklets was the all-girl band, and we had a lot of fun with that same kind of music, but a little messier because we didn't know how to play our instruments. We were all kind of still learning. I was only 19 at this time, 20 then. After that, I lived in Mobile, and I decided to play guitar up at bars, and I did that by myself, and I did with a friend for a long time, boyfriend actually, for a long time. On and off, the whole year or so I lived in Mobile. And then I went home and disappeared for a while. I did write a lot of songs during that time when I was disappeared. And then I really got compelled to do something with them after I got a 4-track. So I spent so much time. If you don't know what a 4-track is, it is the recording device from, it's a tape audio. It's like an analog tape recording machine where you use like actual VHS tapes and you record your music in separate tracks like you would on an audio program, but you really have 4. You could have 6 to 8 or more if you want to bounce them over into the other tracks, but you couldn't mix those other tracks once you mixed them. That's for you audio geeks who didn't know what a 4-track was. It was crazy times, guys. One of my friends had a 6-track in college, and that was just mind-boggling. I got to play with it. And so then I just wanted to go out and meet people again. I started feeling social again. I started playing music really got me back on my feet. I wasn't drinking. I had just gone through a bad phase of being a really heavy drinker, and I stopped drinking altogether. And I was like, I didn't want to play anymore. I didn't want to perform. I was too nervous. I was really scared to play and perform because I couldn't. It was it's just too much for me anxiety-wise. I just couldn't. My hands would shake. You can hear me shaking a little now just because I just played, and you're not even here. You're in my imagination on a screen. You may never see this. So then after that, I did go to singer-songwriter stuff in Huntsville, Alabama a lot, and then I moved to Phoenix, and I went to audio school because I learned audio at some of the places I did. One of the places I did open mic nights at, and played and ran off not finishing songs and stuff. I was like so scared. And the guy who ran sound, his name was Nick, and he offered me a kind of like an internship, I guess you would call it, and I learned how to run the stage there and the back and front of house. And then I only had 5 credits left in my English degree, and I went after this audio interest. I went to Arizona, did not get my English degree, and I learned audio. So after that, I came here to where I live now in Nashville, and I went to a studio, and I was doing my internship there. After that, I moved back to Phoenix. Long story. Don't need to hear it right now. And I didn't play music, but I did work doing sound in churches. After I dug for live sound job after live sound job. I really love live sound. It's very hard to find a cool club job as a girl at that time, a female at that time, in the field. And I did hear through the grapevine. I can't remember how I heard about it. I think it was from my friend Zach that this guy was looking for a live sound tech at a Catholic church. And I applied and I got the job, and it was like the highest paying job I've ever had. It was a great job, and it was good at the time, and I learned so much. I had this huge board. I won't get into that. The Latin Mass. Oh my gosh, I love doing the mixing for the Latin Mass, which in Catholic Church, Latin Mass is just the singers. And there's like in this case, I think there were 12, and they sing a cappella Latin Catholic songs with praise. It's just beautiful. And I got to mic it. They didn't leave. They never let anyone mic them, and they let me mic them. Woo! They used to use overheads, and they liked me as a mixer because I was already mixing a lot of vocals. So sometimes I'd be mixing like 20 voices, in that church. It's a big church, big soundboard. So they were like very trusting the first time, and then they asked me to every time. It was really like an honor. I got that was a feeling of success. And you know what was great about it? Is I love doing it. That was my favorite Mass. Every week, every Friday. I think it was every Friday. I'm pretty sure it was my favorite. No, that was. I think it was every Saturday night. You never know. I can't remember what it was. I just loved it. And I was very happy for that Mass. And then I worked at a Methodist church running sound, and then I was kind of played in bands, but I stopped writing my own stuff. The motivation went away. That's another long story. So why did I tell you this long story about my music history? Though I haven't finished yet. I did play in an acid rock band in Phoenix, and I played keys. And let's see, what else have I done since then? I kind of jammed around with some people in Decatur when I lived there, when I was married before. I played by myself sometimes, but not much. Kind of let it go, letting it let it go. Kind of wasn't interested in it anymore. But sometimes I would love it again. Sometimes I'd jam with my friends, That's about it. So why did I tell you about this? Success, what is it to you? What is success to you? Was I a successful musician? I always used to measure success by if I made money at it. So I, for example, as a musician, I never said I was a professional musician ever because I didn't feel like I could make a living off of it. Now, that's one thing I really want you to think about is what is success to you in this field? Like, what do you want? Why do you want to do this? What does success look like to you? Does it mean you're living off of it very comfortably? Of course it does. But does it mean also that you're fulfilled? Define exactly what you want to do in this field and why to yourself. You don't have to tell anybody your exact reasons, but really define what you're doing and why you're doing it. And in my opinion, you're never going to be quote unquote successful at anything if you don't want it, because you'll never find success there in your heart because you don't want it. That's just kind of what I feel like about success. And, but that's the biggest advice I have is be very tenacious and chase it. No, I didn't go anywhere with my music yet. You never know. I might do something with it, make some money, and then call myself a musician. That's what I did with writing. When I finally published a book by another person who did not know me, it was an ebook publisher in Canada. Her name's Terry. And I just love her. Terry, you're awesome. If you ever listen to this, ever hear this, thank you. She has an amazing cat. Or she probably has a million amazing cats all her life. And she gave me my first chance and published my first book called The Blue Pen, which, hey, we've got lots of more to show you about tenacity. Or tenacity, or how do you want to say it? Being tenacious. Which book did she publish? She published this book. I never did a Morgana. There's a Morgana. It had a different cover. But there's a Morgana. There's a Morgana. There's people. This is the first book I had published. It's not really this long, but when Amazon started letting us self-publish, when I got my rights back, I did paperbacks, but see, like, it didn't do it right. Oh, thumbs down, right? Didn't do it right. That's really cool. Didn't do it. So then after this one, I think the next one I put out where I think we put these two out, Sam the Night Person and Full Moon in December. They go together. First book is Sam the Night Person, and this one's Sam for a reason. And this one's the other second book in that series, but I haven't another cover for this one too, I think. Let's see. There it is. This is one I think my sister-in-law had done this one. And then when I republished them again, I did this cover because it fit it. But I like this one better. I like Vanessa's better. I had just been learning how to do those, and I really wanted to do them. And then I did this one with them too, with Terry and Club Lighthouse Publishing, who was the first one to give me a chance. And then I helped self-publish this one. This is a fantasy novel, and I was going to eventually write a whole bunch of them, but I did not. And then, somewhere in there, these things happened. This was the first thing I ever published professionally, but I still didn't call myself a writer. It was a short fictional story. It's kind of based on a true story, in this book called Voices of Bipolar Disorder. So, let's see. And then I have this book. Oh, my girls, Aubrey and Cherie. So we wrote this blog called Raven and the Writing Desk, Cherie, Aubrey, and me in the late 2000s. And we took all our favorite stories and put them in this book. And they are Cherie and Aubrey and me. And that was so much fun. And we had these blogs, and we used to blog all the time back and forth. And we all were in this blogging community. And we'd read each other's books and edit them and helped each other out for years in the writing industry. And I just heard on Facebook from Aubrey's words herself on her profile that she's going to start writing again. So if you just happen to be an Aubrey Dion author fan, she's going to be writing again. And Cherie Reek has always written, as far as I know. They're both amazing writers. And we had so much fun learning together and writing together, giving each other feedback. And then this is what came out of that. So then the only other ones I think I have that I published in my name were these. And these are with Passionate Writer Publishing. And that, my friend Amiga, if you have listened to the podcast, she's in the very first season. She did a podcast with us, and she's going to come back when she ever has time. But she was the owner of that company, and I met her that way. And I edited for her, and then I asked if they would publish a book of mine or look at it, and they said yes. And then they published both of these. Pretty cool. I loved editing for them too. And then Lisa Russick came along. Some other extenuating circumstances happened. Another person with my name came along and wrote, well, if you listen, you know that. Beside the point. Did I feel successful as a writer? Yes, you damn better believe it, I did. Because my goal was to publish. That was it. A goal. Other than that, I just enjoyed the hell out of writing. So once I was published and I wasn't making any money off that, I was like, well goodness. So I got to figure out how to make money. Writing is my favorite thing to do right now. And I've always been a writer. I've always written in journals and diaries all my life. I have a box of diaries rotting out in the rain right now outside. So I was always writing all the time. And when I started editing company and was writing and ghostwriting after that, I ghost wrote for a very long time. So most of the books I've written, I don't know what happened to them. Most of the series and shorts, I don't know. They're mostly sci-fi and genre fiction. I did a little bit of romance, but I'm not good at it. I don't get it. I get romance, but I don't get how to write it because there has to be like a story around it, an adventure. I want an adventure. I don't want it just they meet and they fall in love. I can't build that into anything personally without a plot. Like more like a plot around the romance to make the romance steamier or more romantic. They have to care about something together, to be a common interest. But whenever I did work with editors on romance, the first one I did just killed it. For some reason, I got really lucky with the first one I did. First beginner's luck in ghostwriting. And I just could never really repeat that. And she's like, no, that's not quite romance. That's adventure. And no, that's science fiction. And I'm like, what? I don't get it. I really just don't get it. So why am I telling you all this stuff about writing and editing and how I've done that all my life too and how I was successful? I define myself as successful now because I freaking did it, man. I freaking did it. I've had people pay me a lot of money to write books. Not a whole lot. I felt like I was a lot. For me, it is. Any money for writing is freaking amazing. And I got to write some of the coolest stuff ghostwriting. It's like in that profession, mainly what they would do with me in most situations is just give me a very broad subject, maybe some details, and go from there. And I would keep them in touch, keep up with them every time I wrote a certain amount of words and had questions and stuff. So, I did consider that a success, even though I think I could go back to that and make a living off of it, but I did burn out after all that editing I did and all the ghostwriting I did. I felt like I'd known every story. I'd heard every story. And then after Morgana died in 2017, I got pulled back into the psychic work. Oh, there's one other little hobby I forgot to tell you about. I'm sure you might know, but you might not. If you just hopped on here to see how you might be successful and have never listened to this podcast, I am also a jeweler, a silversmith. I solder mainly. And these are ones I made. I put them on just for this podcast. This one's crystal quartz, 9x7 millimeter, octagonal. This one is a little labradorite coffin. I have a tremor too. It's one of the reasons I started making jewelry was because I wanted to have a way to be better handling my fingers because I'm so shaky. And it helped. Then I made this little tree of life, like dandron, ring. And this is like a little lapis lazuli in here. I like to wear this one sometimes when I do the podcast because this lapis lazuli is a good communication stone. And I'm wearing a Herkimer diamond necklace that I made. This is highly included. It's pretty cool. So, like I just soldered it like in the back like this and then have the face open. And I need to sell it, but I love it. I might not. I probably won't. I'm wearing it. And I made this beaded bracelet, with lava rocks and some little copper colored beads. And I made some earrings to match on a silver earring post. So there you go. And these are a lot of inventory. My jewelry hasn't been selling too well since COVID, so I've just had to try to close my shops and stuff. Can't get the Amazon thing working out yet, so they haven't written me back, so I don't know what to do about that. And then, of course, there were a lot of sidetracks on my road to my psychic side. I made this little fish soap, and it has a little fish keychain in it. And I made it, so you could wash your hands and get a fish keychain out of it afterwards. So it would be more fun for you to wash your hands. It's a fish shoe. And so I love essential oils. Savvy, if you remember Savvy, she's taught me a lot about essential oils, and I just love them. I love herbs and teas. I love holistic therapies. I love yoga. I love anything health related that I can learn from and help myself with, or any of my friends or anyone I know with, because it's just really it's something I'm very interested in is healthcare and how everything works in the body. I don't know. I don't understand it, but I think it's really cool what I do learn. And I think that I'm not a successful doctor. No, I'm not a successful essential oil mixer. I could never do that for a living and make people's symptoms go away for like Savvy could. She could look up, research, do it. I've been able to do it for myself for some things, but not that. I would not say I was successful with essential oil. Okay, getting off topic. I think I was a successful soap maker though, because I still enjoy it. And candle maker. I make candles too. Yes, I love making lots of candles. I like making magic candles the most. So, okay, let's get back to topic, right? First, have you defined success for yourself yet? So if you know what your idea of success is, aim for it and start moving in that direction. It's really a good way to do it. For me, psychic reading would be a success would be if I can provide half my income now with the psychic reading profession, or my whole income, which is what I have to do now because my jewelry isn't sold. And podcast. And I basically that covers, all my programs that they get to use these programs for anything I want to now, because they're paid for by the sponsor. But once you know what success is to you, go for that. Be tenacious, be patient, and you're doing great as long as you're moving forward. Even if you're just not writing, for example, you're that writer who won't write. All you have to do is do it. All you have to do is sit down and get your little butt in gear. If that works for you, or man, you'd feel great about yourself if you did this. I mean, you really would. What am I talking about? Work as a psychic reader. If you're called and you're like, I need to do this. So many people are like, I need to do this. It's so true. I did too. And especially when I was 35 and I started doing it, I was like, this is I have to do this. I was so compelled and so driven. And then I burned out. So when I first started doing this was probably around 2010 or 11 professionally on the phones. And locally I had been, and I just always kind of kept a few local clients in the areas I've lived in. So really patience is needed. And it really, a lot of things depend on, I would say, your experience. Now, a lot of people get into this field as, say, a tarot reader, and they want to really help people explore who they are and get to know themselves. And that's really what this tarot reader wants through tarot. And maybe they get somebody who wants to talk about their love life, and they don't really care what the tarot says unless it tells them what he is doing or what they are doing right now, other than being with the person you're giving the reading to. And that's really frustrating to some people because they won't take the advice they're being given. So that's not the right field of spirituality, if that is something that bothers you, because that's some way so that people learn. That's the one way I found a really wide open door for people to learn, is to start with something that's huge on their mind enough to call a psychic or meet a psychic to find out more about. It's affected their soul. It's affected their spirit. It's affected their attitude. Their heart is like, oh, I love the butterfly sometimes. They've done something. Something's big in their hearts for this person if they're calling about love. Usually, a psychic. Usually, not always. They might be like me, and it's just where they get their advice. That's totally where I get my advice, psychics. It's been good advice, and I don't listen to it. I do. I usually do. Sometimes. So, yes. Also, I do recommend that you have clarifications around when you will allow yourself to work and when you will not. It is self-employment. Maybe there are places that will do will hire any kind of say a spiritual coach at a church or something. Maybe that would be a position. I don't know. I don't know much about what's out there. But where I live in Nashville, Tennessee, in the U.S., there are metaphysical shops and there are phone lines. I work at both now. I work at Cosmic Connections in Huntsville. Cosmic Connections in Nashville, Tennessee. And I had been wanting that job for so long, and I'm so excited. So I'll be up there every second Monday of the month. And I did do a few days over the holidays, and I just love it up there so much. I want to be up there a lot more. And maybe I will just go be there and just kind of linger. What do you do? You need a reading? Okay, I'll be back on Tuesday. Monday. I love it. It's just got a great energy. And I'm always on Everclear, who is our sponsor, everclear.com. Everclear is an advice app which is a phone app. And I will show it to you. Oh, no, I don't have it on this phone. I have it on this phone. And it is an advice app and website where you can get your advice from psychics and empaths. So you can get the clarity you need to create the life you deserve. Well, I won't show you my profile because I've got my people and I use it. You know, of course, this is where I get my readings from. But I'll show you the icon maybe. I know I can't pull the icon out because there's all these other ones. It would be so embarrassing if you saw how many notifications I have on Temu. I'll show you. Okay, so this is the Everclear app icon. Yeah! Apple TV, Marcus. Oh my gosh, question mark. Okay, so that was what happened there. And we have a World Numerology and ChatGPT. I'm not embarrassed by any of those. So we'll leave it. That's awesome. And it's also a website, everclear.com, and you get advice from psychics and empaths to get the clarity you need to create the life you deserve. We love it. All of us, if you listen to the podcast, you've probably seen me interview some of the advisors. We've interviewed tons of the advisors. They are so amazing. All of them are amazing. We have one coming in pretty soon. I think her name's Aquarius. I can't remember what day she rescheduled for. We had to reschedule with her. She's coming pretty soon from Everclear. And we had several podcasts. Oh, there I go again, changing the subject. I started taking my Lion's Mane supplement again, and it's helping my memory back on topic. Lisa, I got to do this without people sometimes. I got to learn how to keep on topic without help sometimes. On topic is success. Am I a successful psychic reader? Am I a successful spiritual worker? Light worker? Am I a spiritual... I don't know. I mean, my idea of success in this field was to make some money off it. Half my income, most ideal. But say that I'm a professional at it and I'm successful at it. My idea of success was helping people. I don't know. I don't always know if I'm helping everybody, but I do know that when I do find out I've helped somebody and it really made a difference in something that they figured out themselves and they embraced, that was very important about who they are and they love themselves for it or whatever. Even if it took years to get there, and maybe it doesn't matter tomorrow, and maybe it comes back in a few years, just that is what I love. That's success to me. For someone to get to that point where they see their own beauty and what they have to offer, just for a moment even. Because sometimes there's something you just see and go, yeah, it's always been there. Maybe something some people have to really kind of slowly grow into and be taught that. Astrology is a tool, a metaphysical tool that a lot of people use for like our personality archetypes and stuff like that, the experiences we all have, and it kind of breaks them all down into like lots of components is kind of how I see astrology as a guide to it, like how to handle these. And that would be the person who interprets the astrology for you, I imagine. And I would not say I'm a successful astrologer yet, but I'm working on that. And in that field, though, I wouldn't feel like a successful astrologer until I knew what I was talking about. That's when I would feel comfortable saying I'm an astrologer. I wouldn't say professional unless I was making money at that too. I don't know. Like I said, define success for you. Just because that's my idea of success is not what yours is. You might have something else. And I also want to improve myself. I want to get better at what I do. I want to get my energy balanced. It helps me to do readings for people. I feel better when I do them. If I'm not in a good place, I will not do a reading if I can't do what I think I can do my best. Not saying I know I'm going to do the best today. I can do the best ever. But when I feel like I know I cannot do what I can offer my best, I will not do readings because it's just not fair to the clients, I think, if they're paying. But most of the time, if I'm in a bad mood and I'm like, I'll assess the situation. Like, yes, I can do this reading and it will cheer me up every time. I'll feel better because I'm working with the energy. Love working with the energy. So I feel like that's success. But if you're talking about how to, get the job in a field, persistence, luck, trust yourself, use your divination tools, use your manifestation tools, have your friends send Reiki if you don't do Reiki, send all your intentions out to whatever you want for your magical spiritual career, that's going to work better than anything. Take everything negative, no fears in there, and everything word coming out should be positive, like Terry has taught us long ago. And Terry is a guest who comes back a lot. And listeners and watchers, I think all of you can be successful at this work. Every single person who listens to this podcast and who is going to listen to this podcast, that is will, isn't it? I really think that this is like opening up. A lot of people are going to be talking about this a lot more in 2025. I think that they're already just in the last 3 months, a lot of people coming out into their spiritual beliefs on more major, well, not major platforms. I don't know how to explain it, but people are just talking about their spiritual beliefs a lot more ever since COVID started. But now, especially, it seems like it's growing really big right now again. And it's not just because everybody's staying home. It's because everybody stayed home, and some people took an interest in this, and then they educated themselves and other people. And that's part of this podcast. We love educating you and ourselves, of course. What's going on? What's going on with the energy? So with that, I don't know. I don't think I have any other really great advice for you, but I will say, just, if like, I go back to that situation where, you're doing the tarot readings and you don't like having to, that's just not your modality for spirituality. Learn Reiki, learn massage, healing massage, learn whatever it is that interests you. If tarot isn't it, if you want to help people know themselves, you want to work with people who want to be healers. You want to work with people who have like trauma, but you want to work with it spiritually instead of maybe like a therapist would, a counselor. That would be their choice and your choice, and that was something you have to work out between you two. Most of the people who are like a spiritual coach or a life coach, those ones I've met have been psychologists or studied psychology in college extensively. So it took a big interest in them to help people in that modality with their psychic senses too. A lot of people in this field are in psychology or studied a lot of psychology, and it's not to be a fraud. It's because it's fascinating. We love people. We want to know why they do what they do. And when we start studying psychology, we're usually pretty young and we don't know anything yet. We're figuring it out, and that's how we figured it out. We learned. That's the thing I want to say most of all to get to your successful thing. In the spiritual business, I would say practice your spirituality as much, or if not more, than you work in that field. Always be studying your tools if you use them. Tarot, pendulum, handle it, talk to it, work with it for anything. Like when I have not been soldering, I'm messing up everything I'm soldering when I try to because I'm out of practice. So you really and expand your horizons. If you feel like, I'm kind of learned a lot about the tarot and I want to like look at something else, look at the Thoth Tarot, or you could maybe get into crystals. Crystal divination is a thing. And all kinds of stuff of divination. I mean, anything can be divination, I think I've talked about that before. But practice and learn. Read histories. Read about, as some people say, like Makasha, read the novels. A lot of the novels supposedly have some of our real facts. That's what she says. And a lot of people agree with her. Have our magical facts. Read and study, and however you do study, watch videos or listen to podcasts like this. Find lots of them. I could recommend a lot, like Amber, our last guest. I think she was our last guest, Amber, from the Diary of a Psychic podcast. She was a host of that podcast. That's what she does. She sounds like that's all she does. She studies and learns and helps. And it's kind of that she gave a real good example of how to get to a professional space in this sphere, I thought. So I consider her successful, for example. So anyway, listeners and watchers, I think you're all successful at listening, because this is a very long podcast. It seems like just for me to ramble on and on. What is it, 30 minutes? Jeez. I had to show you some stuff. So anyway, everybody, I hope you enjoyed this, and I hope you have some more clarity or ideas about what you're going to do if you do pursue this kind of work, or if you are in the field, how you might reframe yourself. So I'd love you to leave a comment if you want, or send me an email. Just start a discussion. Come be a guest. It's Lisa@weareallpsychic.com. And we have, now I can talk about podcast news. So we did have we had 3 podcasts scheduled this week. It was like a ton, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. And Sunday I got sick. Monday she couldn't do it. Tuesday is today. The guest and I got the time zones. She got the time zones. It didn't on her end switch over correctly on the calendar. It didn't switch the time zone over correctly. It was supposed to be 7 and I had 6. So we didn't do that one either. We're going to reschedule that one. But then tomorrow we have one. So let's hope that one turns out. And I have enough to say Missy will be there, and I'll be very glad to see her. Thank you so much, everybody, for watching and listening. And I love you all. Love to hear your thoughts on the episode. Please subscribe, listen anywhere you love to listen. And you can watch this video on Spotify. And if I get so inclined, I'll throw it on YouTube. Peace out.